Hi everyone, I'm Edward Fos Villaronga and I'm currently working at Queen Mary University of London. I've been working for the past 5 years at the intersection between law and robotics with a special focus on healthcare robot technologies. Today I'm presenting at NewFriends a paper on different reflections that I've been having during this time on the adequacy of this technology for therapeutic settings. Robots have been used in therapy for physical rehabilitation after um, patients had a stroke or a spinal cord injury, or to help them regain walking abilities after being in a wheelchair. And they have been used for lower limb or also for upper limb. But lately, robot technology have been also used for cognitive disorders. So robot technology now interact with different type of users in a cognitive way, interacting with them in order to perform different activities that are not directly physical, but they are more on the cognitive layer to help them in their neurodevelopmental process. These robots have been used for dementia care for elderly, they have been used for autistic children, and they also have been used for traumatic brain injuries, etc. However, my question in this paper is whether this is actually what we want as a society or not. Because actually, there are recent studies that support the adoption of robot technologies for therapy and education, while other research in different fields suggests that technology has a profound and alerting impact on us and our human nature. So, is this what we really want? I'm going to present 4 reflections and different findings from other fields of study that may question these advances in human-robot interaction studies for therapeutic purposes. And then at the very end, I'm going to add to this discussion different encouragements, so to see what we can do in order to steer in the appropriate direction the development and use for AI and robot technologies in therapy. Let's start with the first reflection. Technology has different long-term consequences. When we overexpose ourselves to screens, actually, it activates in the brain a system of rewards that releases dopamine, which leads to a pathologic addiction involving irritability, anger, aggressivity, and violence that has been called digital heroin. At the same time, it has another very interesting consequence. Some parts of the frontal cortex are altered and strained if we face the screens excessively. This is something that it is typically related with disorders such as autistic spectrum disorder or bipolarity. These findings actually could suggest that the solution that the therapeutic robots claim to propose could be at the same time the cause of the same problem. Second reflection is what I call t-shirt paradigm. I'm sure that some of you have had a problem with your telephone company or with a product and you call a call center. Many times you need to speak very clearly in order for the robot or the system that it is answering you to understand what you really want to do. The very end, what we want to do, all of us, is to speak with the nature, because the robot might not be able to fully understand what we want to say. So what happens with robotic technology is that their physical embodiment, but also their capabilities, constrain their interaction with humans. So most of the times, what we will have to do is that it will be ourselves that we will have to adapt to the robot in order for the robot to have a meaningful interaction with us. So that is how I call the t-shirt paradigm, because we adapt ourselves to the t-shirt. It's not the t-shirt that adapts to ourselves. And I am wondering, what is this going to happen when robots are going to be processing information about our emotions? How the robots are going to know that I'm crying because I am happy or because I am sad? The standardization of human-robot interactions, including emotion, recognition, and expression, will entail, maybe, and challenge the personalized care delivery. Another reflection is that there are branches of studies such as physics or engineering that have almost lost all connection with human spoken language. If you haven't read this book, I would strongly recommend it because it is very well written and it explains this phenomenon. Harari explains that the mathematical language is not natural, that actually humans never communicated in numbers and never in binary code, and that if we are teaching humans to communicate in this new language, it is because machines still do not understand how we talk, how we feel, or how we dream. And although coding literacy may be important for STEM curriculum and may provide the students employability in the future, this might entail a greater disconnection from what constitutes to be human in the very first place. As Zygmunt Bauman explains, actually, the more human attention and learning effort is absorbed by the virtual variety of proximity, because he does this division between virtual proximity and non-virtual proximity, he explains the less time is dedicated to the acquisition and exercise of skills with the other non-virtual kind of proximity requires. The fourth and the last reflection that I have is that user-centered approaches may disregard societal implications. So right now, autistic children have deficits in social communication, social interaction, and social emotional reciprocity. So accordingly, all the therapies for autistic children are focused on training these children in social and cooperative skills. The problem with that is that it is not that spread this kind of therapies among young and adults, even if they might have the same disorder. And then also that we do not really know how we came to the point where we are training autistic children to be able to insert themselves into the society, but the society is not having an equal effort on understanding how to integrate the children with such disorder. So let's talk now about the different encouragements that I have in order to steer in the appropriate direction the development and use of AI and robot technologies in therapy. The first is that technology should be a means of communication, not as an end itself. So the most important thing is that we should consider technology as a bridge between humans. One of the examples that is doing that is a Hookie. So Professor Jordi Albo-Canals has been conducting all this research at Tufts University, where he has different robots that work as a social mediator. So actually the child that interacts with the robot tries to get help and tips in order to perform better the different exercises, but the robot will redirect the attention of the child to the other colleague or different therapies. So as an example, the robot might say, ask your classmate, ask your teacher. At the very end, the child might understand that in order to get the response, he might directly have to use a human-human interaction rather than a human-robot interaction. What I've been calling a pan-centered approach merely refers to the fact that we need to understand what is the milieu where the user will be constitutionalized, and that actually we need to do a greater effort on empathy and also in an emotionally intelligent way to understand how different users with different types of disorders see the world, understand their feelings, and also communicate such understanding. And this is what we need for therapy. We need the twofold effort from the child or person that has the disorder, but also from the society to understand how to integrate them into the society. What I call for physical and psychological comprehensive approach is that if robot technology are going to interact with us in a social way, not only physical safeguards, but also cognitive safeguards should be put in place. And that is how the European Parliament has said that we need protocols to avoid cognitive and psychological risk connected with robotic technology. This is going to be critical for therapeutic context. The fourth and last encouragement is the development of an organic mindset. As there are places proud not to have internet connection, traditional technology-free therapies may be revisited and may be offered as an alternative for those people that do not want to have the robotic therapy. This might also promote to keep the human in the loop, because there's discussion whether technology is going to replace human workers, in this case therapists. But alternatively, what we could do is to time limit the time spent with the robot so that we avoid the over-engagement with such technology. Even if this quote is not for robotic therapy, I think that it plays well because it actually says that if things go this way, it will not be a natural evolution of a technological development. Rather, it will be because in the negotiations about the technology, certain actors pushed in that direction, were able to enroll others in their way of thinking, and together they won the day in terms of design and responsibility practices. So what Deborah Johnson was trying to say is that it is a combined effort of all of us, and we need also to involve different stakeholders in order to understand that this is actually what we want for society. Thank you very much for your attention. Do not hesitate to contact me via email and follow me on Twitter. Thank you so much.